Hey everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. Wanted to do a little more discussion on Steven's solo twin before I put it on the shelf for however long it takes to find a recoil spring. I've dealt with a bunch of other problems on it that I should have been able to run it. I think it still had a minor fuel system problem, but I definitely heard it bark 5 or 6 times, and it was starting to draw fuel. So that's the plus. And I did get spark back, so that was a huge plus. This side had spark, this side didn't. I got lucky when I finally got that damn flywheel off. I was able to file the points on that side, and yeah, got spark back. So that's the good news. That's actually great news. So this thing has 2 points, 2 condensers, 2 coils. And the cam lobe just is set up. It's one lobe, and it triggers 1 point, takes care of that cycle, triggers the next one. So they're about 180 degrees opposed. In fact, I think exactly. So this will sound pretty cool if and when I ever get it running. The starter is unique. It's got a pawl system that's contained underneath these sheet metal covers here, the tin or whatever the hell they are, and those also serve as wear plates to kind of hold it in place, and the recoil springs behind that. Fun. The flywheel is of course under here. I'm not going to pull this shroud back off, but under the flywheel is of course the points, and the real crux of the biggest issue I had to deal with, that I have dealt with adequately, I believe, to run this thing, and that was somebody had taken the carburetor off. And I think in their attempts to put it back on, I know, either lost the original nuts and or stripped the threads on one of the studs after they cross-threaded it and tore it out of the plastic, Bakelite, whatever the hell it is, intake manifold. So the intake manifold has 3 screws that hold it in place, and they literally cast this Bakelite around 2 hex head bolts. I'll refrain from the cursing that I was doing earlier. I was lucky enough that there was enough left there that I could clean it all up, prep an American bolt that I had a nut for that was just enough distance, cast it back in there and JB weld that damn thing back together and tighten it down. It worked. Now, I'm not going to reef on this, but that's tight enough I should be able to get it to run. I can't guarantee there won't be a minor air leak there, but it'll run that way. And I don't have to worry about the impulse, because this is actually crankcase impulse via hose right here. So that's good. All I got to do is worry about getting the fuel into the engine, and I think this will do that. The real sucky moto part of this is, they mounted this Tilly upside down, this carburetor, from the way you see it on a home light. It doesn't matter, other than you can service this carb from here. You don't need to take it off. So why the hell anybody took it off, I'll never know, because you literally have to get the flywheel off, unbolt the ignition. No, you can leave the ignition, but you've got to unbolt this outer shroud and get that off in order to access that nut down there for the carburetor. I mean, in a nutshell, no pun intended, this saw is a beautiful example of why I would never even consider buying a German-made car. I just wouldn't. It might run forever, but if and when something breaks, it's going to be expensive, costly, and complicated to fix. So, anyhow, I'll quit ranting about it. The good news, again, for Steven is, hey man, I got spark on both cylinders now, and it was firing and attempting to run. I see it's not holding fuel in the line worth a diddly squat, so despite the fact that I felt that needle was fine, I may have to stretch the spring or dink with it. That's the one thing you can't service with the carb on is getting that inlet arm off, but I think I can mess with everything that I need to from here, and it may just be a leak somewhere. I didn't have the fuel turret off. There could be a minor vacuum leak there that's developed, although there wasn't when I pressure tested it. But anyhow, that's where we're at. We need a recoil spring before I can do anything else on this saw. So it's going to get buttoned up and put away, out of my way, because I don't expect that's going to be easy to find. When I looked for parts just by model, I found exactly jack squat. So that's a little bit of a concern to me. But I would say this thing is close. And it is a cool saw. I mean, 100cc twin piston saw. That's not exactly something that you see every day of the week, but anyhow, there's an update on it. I know I mentioned it briefly on the channel a number of weeks ago, and I've done a little bit of work. Actually, a lot of work. I've done a lot of work. Have a little bit left to go.